32 police officers showed up at a small house on Oakdale Street at 7:03 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Full-dress uniforms, polished brass buttons, white gloves, lined up in two perfect rows from the curb to the front porch. And the 9-year-old girl who opened that door? She had no idea why they were there. She thought she was in trouble. But here's the thing, she wasn't. They came because of a sandwich. 3/4 of an egg sandwich and an apple. The only food this little girl had left. Food she gave to a homeless man on a bench. A man she'd never met. A man nobody else even looked at. She didn't know he was somebody's brother. She didn't know that one choice would flip her entire world upside down. She didn't stop to think about what she'd lose by giving away her only meal. She just saw someone hungry, and she shared. What happened next? Man, I promise you're not ready for this. But to understand it, we need to go back to where it all started. So yeah, let's get into it. Pinewood, Northeast Corridor. The kind of mid-sized city where the nice parts have coffee shops with outdoor seating, and the forgotten parts have corner stores with bars on the windows. Oakdale Street sits in the forgotten part. Streetlights flicker more than they shine. Every third house has plywood over a window. The bus comes when it feels like it. This is where Amara Johnson lives. She's 9 years old, skinny, quiet, the kind of kid who doesn't complain. Not because everything's fine, because she learned early that complaining doesn't fix anything. Amara lives with her grandmother, Ruby Johnson, 65 years old, bad knees, hands that ache when it rains. Works part-time cleaning office buildings across town. The kind of job where nobody learns your name. They just notice when the trash cans aren't empty. Ruby is all Amara has. Her mother, Jasmine, died 3 years ago. Car accident. One rainy Tuesday. One intersection. One truck that didn't see the red light. Amara was 6. She doesn't talk about it much. But there's a photo of Jasmine on the living room wall. Young, smiling, wearing a yellow blouse. Every morning, Amara walks past that photo on her way to the kitchen. She doesn't stop, but she always looks, every single morning. Their house is small, 2 bedrooms. 1 bathroom with a faucet that drips no matter how tight you turn it. A kitchen where the linoleum is peeling at the corners. But here's the thing, it's clean, spotless. Ruby makes sure of that. She says you can't control being poor, but you can control being dirty. That's her rule. Maybe her only rule she still has control over. This particular Tuesday morning, Amara wakes up at 6:14 a.m. No alarm. She just wakes up, makes her bed, hospital corners like Ruby taught her, folds her pajamas, walks to the kitchen. She opens the fridge, almost empty. 1 bottle of ketchup, half a stick of butter, some leftover rice from 2 nights ago in a plastic container. She doesn't react, doesn't sigh, doesn't say anything, just closes the fridge, opens the cabinet. 1 jar of peanut butter, nearly scraped clean. 4 slices of bread. 2 heel slices nobody wants. 2 regular slices. She takes out the 2 regular slices. Spreads what's left of the peanut butter thin across both. Takes the single hard-boiled egg from yesterday out of the fridge, the last one. Slices it. Lays the slices on the bread. Presses them together. Wraps the sandwich in a paper towel. Puts it in her backpack. That's her lunch. That's everything she's got for the whole day. Ruby comes out of her bedroom, moving slow. Her knees are bad this morning. You can tell by the way she grips the doorframe before stepping into the hallway. Both hands, full weight. Then she lets go and shuffles forward. "You eat something, baby?" Amara doesn't look up. "Yes, ma'am. Had some cereal." She didn't. There's no cereal. The box ran out 4 days ago. But Amara says it anyway, because she knows what happens if she tells the truth. Ruby will skip her own breakfast, give Amara hers. And Amara would rather be hungry than watch her grandmother go without. 9 years old, already making calculations that would break most adults. Ruby sits down at the kitchen table. There's a stack of envelopes, bills. She opens the first one. Electric company. Her face tightens. She sets it face down. Opens another. Water bill. Same reaction. Face down. Then she picks up the phone. Her voice changes, gets smaller, careful. "Mr. Brennan, this is Ruby Johnson." "Yes, sir. I know I'm behind. I just need until Friday. I get paid Friday, and I can—" She listens. Her jaw clenches. "Yes, sir. I understand. Thank you." She hangs up, sits there for a moment. Then she pulls one more envelope from under the fruit bowl where she hid it yesterday. She doesn't open it. She already knows what's inside. 5 weeks of unpaid rent. She slides it back under the bowl before Amara comes back into the kitchen. "Grandma, I'm heading out." Ruby looks up, forces a smile. "You got your lunch?" Amara pats her backpack. "Yes, ma'am." "You be safe." "Always am." Amara walks out the front door. Down the porch steps. The third step creaks. It's creaked for 2 years. Past the cracked sidewalk with weeds growing through. 6 blocks to the bus stop. She passes a check-cashing place with neon signs. A church with a handmade banner that says, "Free winter coats Saturdays." A barber shop where old men sit outside on plastic chairs arguing about nothing important. She reaches the bus stop, sits on the bench, sets her backpack on her lap, swings her legs. They don't quite touch the ground. She hums a little tune, something her mother used to sing. She doesn't remember all the words, just the melody. And that's when she sees him, at the far end of the bench. A man, white, mid-50s maybe, thin, not just thin, hollowed out, like something's been eating him from the inside for a long time. His jacket is torn at the shoulder, duct tape holding one sleeve together. His hands are shaking, not from the cold, from something deeper. He's slumped over, eyes half closed. Hasn't shaved in weeks, hair matted. He looks like he hasn't eaten in days. Amara looks at him, looks away, looks back. She doesn't think about it. That's the part that gets me. She doesn't run through the options in her head, doesn't calculate what she'll lose, doesn't weigh the pros and cons. She just reaches into her backpack, pulls out the sandwich, unwraps it, and tears it. Not down the middle. She gives him the bigger piece. 3/4. Keeps 1/4 for herself. Then she reaches back in, pulls out the apple Pastor Wallace gave her this morning, sets both gently on his knee, doesn't say a word, doesn't tap his shoulder, just places them there like it's the most normal thing in the world. The man's eyes open, bloodshot, confused. He stares at the sandwich and apple, then at her. His lips are cracked. They tremble when he speaks. "Why'd you do that?" His voice is rough, barely above a whisper. Amara shrugs, like someone just asked her why she picked the blue crayon instead of the red one. "'Cause you looked way more hungry than me." That's it. That's all she says. She takes a small bite of her quarter sandwich, chews quietly, looks straight ahead. The bus is coming down the block. She can see it 3 stops away. The man picks up the sandwich with both hands. They're shaking so hard he almost drops it. He takes one bite, closes his eyes, and a tear rolls down his face. Then another. He's not crying because of the food. He's crying because someone saw him. For the first time in longer than he can remember, someone looked at him like he was a person, not a problem, not something to avoid. A person. The bus pulls up, doors hiss open. Amara grabs her backpack, hops on, finds a seat by the window. She doesn't look back, doesn't wave, doesn't wait for a thank you. She's already thinking about her spelling test, 3rd period. The man sits there on that bench, holding 3/4 of an egg sandwich and an apple, the only food a 9-year-old girl had left in her house. And he breaks down, right there, sobbing. Nobody stops. A woman walking her dog crosses to the other side of the street. A guy in a suit glances over, keeps walking. A teenager with headphones doesn't even look. Nobody stops. But here's the detail that changes everything. Mounted on the brick wall of the drugstore across the street, there's a security camera. Small, easy to miss. Pointed at the bus stop because the store got robbed twice last year. And it caught the whole thing. Every second. The sandwich, the tear, the girl who gave without even thinking. That footage? It's going to matter more than anyone knows yet. Okay, wait. I need to pause right here for a second. She gave away her only meal, like her only one. And she kept the smaller piece. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'd do that. Most people wouldn't. But she didn't even hesitate. She just did it. And that says everything. Now let me take you somewhere completely different. Downtown Pinewood. A building made of glass and concrete. The kind of building where security guards wear earpieces and the elevators require a key card for certain floors. 5th floor. Corner office. Mahogany desk. Leather chair. An American flag in the corner. Photos on the wall. Handshakes with the mayor, a senator, a 3-star general. This is the office of Commissioner Vincent Hayes, 62 years old, silver hair cut military short, jaw like it was carved from stone. The kind of man who walks into a room and everyone straightens their spine. Not because they like him, because they've learned. Vincent Hayes runs the Pinewood Metropolitan Police Department. Has for 11 years. Old money, old power, old rules. The kind of man who believes problems are things you manage quietly, efficiently, without mess. He's reviewing budget reports when his phone rings. Private line. He picks up on the 2nd ring. Commissioner Hayes. He listens. His hand stops moving. The pen he was holding drops to the desk. Say that again. He listens more. His face doesn't change, not exactly, but something behind his eyes shifts. Something cracks. Where is he now? Pause. Which hospital? He stands up, grabs his coat off the back of the chair. His aide, a young officer near the door, notices. "Sir, is everything all right?" Vincent doesn't answer right away. He buttons his coat, straightens his collar. Then, quietly, "They found Thomas." The aide blinks. "Your brother?" Vincent walks past him without another word. "Here's what you need to know about Thomas Hayes. He's 54 years old. Vincent's younger brother by 8 years. Served 2 tours overseas, Iraq and Afghanistan. Came back different. The Thomas who left was loud, funny. The guy who made everyone laugh at Thanksgiving dinner. The Thomas who came back barely spoke. Couldn't sleep through the night. Couldn't sit still. Couldn't be in a room with too many people without his heart rate spiking. PTSD. Then alcohol. Then worse. Vincent tried to help, but Vincent only knows one way to help: control, give orders, fix things by force of will. 2 years ago, Vincent arranged a treatment program. Expensive, private, the best money could buy. But he didn't ask Thomas. He told him. Showed up at Thomas's apartment with paperwork and a car waiting outside. Thomas looked at his brother for a long moment. Then he said, "I'm not some case you get to manage, Vincent." And he walked out. Disappeared. 2 years, no phone calls, no address, nothing. Vincent searched at first, filed a missing person report, sent officers to shelters, checked hospitals. But Thomas knew how to vanish. The military taught him that. After 6 months, the trail went cold. After a year, Vincent stopped talking about it. Not because he stopped caring, because it hurt too much to keep hoping. And now, this phone call. Thomas, alive. Found collapsed at a bus stop on Riverside Avenue. Brought to Pinewood General Hospital, barely breathing. Vincent drives himself. No motorcade, no sirens. Just a man in a dark coat driving too fast through downtown traffic. He gets to the hospital, walks past the front desk without stopping. Nobody stops a police commissioner. Room 412. He pushes the door open, and there's Thomas. Thin. So thin it doesn't look real. Arms like sticks. Cheekbones sharp enough to cut. An IV drip in his left hand. Monitors beeping slow and steady. But his eyes are open, clear, lucid for the first time in God knows how long. Vincent stands in the doorway, doesn't move, doesn't speak. Thomas turns his head, sees his brother, and for a long moment, neither of them says anything. 2 years of silence sitting between them like a wall. Then Thomas speaks first, voice rough, barely above a whisper. "Before you say anything, I didn't call you, wouldn't have called you." Vincent swallows, nods. "I know." He pulls a chair to the bedside, sits down slowly, folds his hands. "Then who found you?" Thomas's face changes. Something softens, something Vincent hasn't seen in years. "A kid. Little girl." Vincent leans forward. "A little girl." Thomas nods slow, like even that movement takes effort. "I was on a bench, Riverside Avenue bus stop. Don't know how many days I'd been there. 2, maybe, 3. Couldn't stand up anymore. Couldn't think straight. Everything was just noise." He pauses, stares at the ceiling tiles. "Then she sat down next to me." Vincent waits, doesn't interrupt. "Little black girl, 9, maybe 10. Had a backpack bigger than she was. She sat at the other end of the bench. And she just looked at me. His voice cracks slightly. Not the way people usually look. Not the don't make eye contact look. Not the should I call someone look. She just looked at me like I was a regular person sitting on a bench. Thomas closes his eyes for a second, opens them. She pulled out a sandwich, egg sandwich. I could smell it, Vincent. And she tore it, gave me most of it, kept a tiny piece, then gave me an apple too. Vincent doesn't move, doesn't blink. I asked her why she'd do that. You know what she said? Vincent shakes his head. Thomas's eyes are wet now. She said, "'Cause you looked way more hungry than me." The heart monitor beeps, steady, relentless. Thomas turns to look at his brother fully now. I've been on those streets for 2 years, Vincent. 2 years. Hundreds of people walked past me every single day. Thousands, probably. Some threw change without looking. Most pretended I wasn't there. A few told me to get a job. One guy spit near my feet. He swallows hard. And a 9-year-old girl. A kid who clearly doesn't have much herself. She's the one who sat down. She's the one who shared her food. Not half, the bigger piece. Vincent's jaw is tight. He's staring at his own hands folded on his lap. She didn't know me, didn't ask my name, didn't ask for anything back. She just gave. And then she got on the bus and left like it was nothing. Thomas closes his eyes again. That's the first time in 2 years anyone treated me like I mattered. Vincent sits there for a long time. The room is quiet except for the machines. Then he pulls out his phone. What'd she look like? Thomas opens his eyes. Small, thin, school uniform, navy blue, hair in braids with a white ribbon. She got on the number 14 bus, heading east. Vincent types something, hits send. What are you doing? Thomas asks. Finding her. Vincent calls Lieutenant Sarah Ortiz. She's his community liaison officer. Sharp, organized, remembers every detail of every case. Sarah, I need you to pull security footage. Riverside Avenue bus stop. This morning between 6:45 and 7:30. There's a camera on the drugstore across the street. I need it now. Sarah doesn't ask why. She's worked with Vincent long enough to know better. Give me an hour, sir. It takes her 43 minutes. She calls back. Commissioner, I have the footage. Sending it to your phone now. Vincent opens the video, holds the phone so Thomas can see too. There she is. Grainy footage, black and white, but clear enough. A little girl sits on a bench, reaches into her backpack, pulls out a sandwich wrapped in a paper towel, tears it carefully, not in half, 3/4 and 1/4. Places the bigger piece on the knee of the man beside her. Reaches back in, pulls out an apple, sets it next to the sandwich, keeps the small piece, takes a bite, gets on the bus when it arrives. No hesitation, no performance. No looking around to see if anyone's watching, just quiet, instinctive kindness. Vincent watches it 3 times, doesn't say a word. Thomas watches his brother's face, sees something he hasn't seen in years. Vincent's eyes are red. Finally, Vincent speaks. Quiet, almost to himself. Real kindness doesn't need an audience. He puts the phone down, picks it up again. Sarah, I need you to find this girl. Name, school, address, everything. Sarah traces the bus route. contacts the school district, cross-references the uniform. Within 2 hours, she has it. Her name is Amara Johnson, 9 years old, 4th grade at Eastbrook Elementary, lives with her grandmother, Ruby Johnson, on Oakdale Street. Father, unknown. Mother, deceased 3 years ago. She pauses. Commissioner, I pulled their records. The grandmother works part-time as a custodian. They're behind on rent. 5 weeks. There's also... She stops. What? I found something else. The property management firm that owns their building. It's run by Councilman Derek Foster's company. And sir, I think there might be some irregularities in their rental agreement. Vincent closes his eyes. What kind of irregularities? Illegal fees, maintenance charges for repairs that were never done, late penalties that exceed state limits by almost 300%. I think Foster's been doing this to multiple families. Vincent is quiet for a long moment. How many families? I'm still looking, but at least a dozen so far, maybe more. Vincent opens his eyes, looks at Thomas. This girl, this child who gave away her last sandwich. She's about to lose her home. He sits in the hospital room for a long time after Sarah hangs up. Thomas has fallen asleep. The IV drips. The monitor beeps. Vincent makes 3 phone calls. The first to the Pinewood Police Community Fund. I need 8 weeks of back rent covered for a family in Oakdale, and a $200 grocery card. Process it tonight. Anonymous donor. The second to Sarah. Organize a collection from the department. School supplies, groceries, winter clothes, whatever you can put together by morning. And Sarah, I want this done quietly. No press. Not yet. The third call. The one that changes everything. Sarah, one more thing. I want 32 officers in full dress uniform at this girl's house tomorrow morning. 7 a.m. sharp. Silence on the other end of the line. 32, sir? 32. I want them lined up from the curb to her front door. 2 perfect rows. I want her to open that door and know that what she did mattered. That someone saw it. Even when she thought no one was watching. Sarah is quiet for a moment. Then her voice comes back, steady. I'll make it happen, sir. Vincent hangs up, looks at Thomas sleeping, reaches over and pulls the blanket up over his brother's shoulders. He whispers, so quiet Thomas doesn't hear. She did what I couldn't. She brought you back. Now, that same night, across town, Ruby tucks Amara into bed, pulls the covers up to her chin, smooths her braids. Grandma? Yes, baby? I gave my sandwich away today, to a man at the bus stop. He looked really hungry. Ruby's hand stops moving. You gave your lunch away? Just most of it. I kept a little piece. And Pastor Wallace gave me an apple this morning, so I gave him that too. But I wasn't that hungry anyway. She was. She'd been hungry all day. Came home and ate cold rice with ketchup and didn't say a word about it. Ruby's eyes fill up. She blinks fast, forces a smile. That was real kind of you, baby. Is it okay? I know we don't got a lot. Ruby strokes her forehead, lies for what feels like the 100th time this month. We got enough, sweetheart. Don't you worry about that. Amara closes her eyes, asleep in minutes. Ruby walks back to the kitchen, opens the fridge, stands there looking at the nearly empty shelves. One bottle of ketchup, half a stick of butter, the container of rice that's now empty because Amara ate it. She closes the fridge softly, sits down at the table in the dark. She doesn't know that 8 weeks of rent just got paid. She doesn't know that 32 officers are pressing their dress uniforms right now. She doesn't know that everything is about to change. She just sits there, alone, wondering how she's going to make it through the week. 6:47 a.m. the next morning. The sun isn't fully up yet. Just a thin line of gold along the rooftops of Oakdale Street. The neighborhood is quiet. A dog barks somewhere down the block. A screen door squeaks. Inside the house, Amara wakes up the way she always does. No alarm, eyes open, feet on the floor. Bed made before she leaves the room. She walks to the kitchen, opens the cabinet, stares at it. Empty. No bread, no peanut butter, nothing to pack for lunch. She closes the cabinet, doesn't react, just pours a glass of water from the tap and drinks it standing up. Ruby is already on the phone in the hallway. Same voice as yesterday, tired, careful, begging without sounding like she's begging. Mr. Brennan, I just need until Friday. I promise I'll have something by Friday. Please, sir. Amara pretends she doesn't hear. She puts on her school uniform, navy blue, white ribbon in her braids, backpack on her shoulders. Same routine, same girl. She doesn't know today is different, but outside, 2 blocks away, it's already started. Police cruisers pulling up one by one, quietly. No sirens, no lights. Officers step out in full dress uniform, dark blue, brass buttons polished to mirrors, white gloves, shoes you could see your reflection in. They line up along the sidewalk, silent, disciplined. 2 rows forming a perfect path from the street to Amara's front porch. A neighbor across the street peeks through her blinds, then another neighbor, then another. Doors crack open. People step onto porches in bathrobes and slippers, whispering. What's going on? Is somebody in trouble? That's the Johnson house. At the end of the block, a dark sedan pulls up. Vincent Hayes steps out. No uniform, gray suit, white shirt, dark tie. He buttons his jacket, walks toward the line of officers. Behind him, a second car. The door opens slowly. Thomas Hayes gets out. Clean clothes, hair cut short. Still thin, still a little unsteady on his feet, but standing on his own. He takes his place at the back of the line. The last officer in the second row nods to him. Thomas nods back. Sarah Ortiz walks the line one final time, checks every collar, every glove, every position. She looks at Vincent, nods once. We're ready, sir. Vincent takes a breath, looks at the small house at the end of the path. Let's go. 3 knocks. Firm. Even. The kind of knock that means something. Ruby freezes mid-sentence, the phone still pressed to her ear. Amara looks up from tying her shoe. 3 more knocks. Ruby hangs up without saying goodbye, walks to the door slowly, looks through the peephole. Her breath catches. Amara, stay behind me. What's wrong, Grandma? Ruby doesn't answer. Her hand is shaking as she reaches for the doorknob. She opens it, and the whole world shifts. 32 officers standing in perfect formation. 2 rows stretching from the porch all the way down to the street. Morning sunlight catching the brass on their uniforms. White gloves at their sides. Not one of them moving. Not one sound. Ruby grabs the doorframe. Her knees almost buckle. Oh my Lord. Oh my. She can't finish. Amara squeezes past her grandmother, stands on the porch in her school uniform, backpack still on her shoulders, eyes wide, mouth open. She whispers, "Grandma, did we do something bad?" The lead officer steps forward, Sergeant Cole, tall, broad-shouldered, 23 years on the force. He removes his hat, gets down on one knee so he's eye level with Amara. "Sweetheart, we're not here because you did something bad." He smiles, gentle, like he's talking to his own daughter. "We're here because you did the only thing that was right." Amara blinks, doesn't understand. Then Vincent steps forward from the side of the formation, gray suit, no badge visible. He walks up the path between the 2 rows of officers, stops at the bottom of the porch steps, looks up at Ruby. "Mrs. Johnson, my name is Vincent Hayes. I'm the commissioner of the Pinewood Police Department." Ruby stiffens, a police commissioner at her door. Every instinct in her body is screaming that this is bad news. "Ma'am, I'm not here in any official capacity. I'm here as a brother." He reaches into his coat, pulls out a tablet, turns the screen toward Ruby and Amara. "Yesterday morning, at the bus stop on Riverside Avenue, your granddaughter did something extraordinary." He presses play. The security camera footage. Grainy, slightly tilted, but clear enough. A little girl sits on a bench, pulls out a sandwich, tears it carefully, places the bigger piece on a man's knee, pulls out an apple, sets it next to the sandwich, eats the smaller piece herself, gets on the bus. No hesitation, no audience, no expectation of reward. Ruby watches. Her hand comes up slowly to cover her mouth. She turns to Amara. Voice breaking. "Baby, you gave away your lunch." Amara looks at the ground, shifts her weight from foot to foot. "He was real hungry, Grandma." Ruby's voice cracks. "That was all we had." "I know." Ruby's face crumbles. Not anger, not disappointment, something deeper. She realizes her granddaughter went hungry the entire day yesterday, ate cold rice and ketchup for dinner without one word of complaint because she'd given her only food to a stranger. She pulls Amara into her arms, holds her so tight Amara can barely breathe. Vincent gives them a moment, then speaks again. Voice steady, but his eyes are not. "Mrs. Johnson, the man on that bench, that's my brother, Thomas Hayes. He's a veteran. He served 2 tours overseas. He's been struggling for a long time. He's been lost to us, to himself, for 2 years. Vincent's voice stays level, but there's a crack running through it now. "Yesterday morning, your granddaughter was the first person in 2 years who looked at him like he was a human being. She shared her last meal with him. And because of that, because she was there, he's alive today. He's getting help." Ruby is crying now, quietly, tears running down her face. She can't speak. Vincent kneels. Eye level with Amara now. "Amara, Do you remember the man you gave your sandwich to? Amara nods. Small movement. Do you know his name? Amara shakes her head. His name is Thomas, and he's right here. Vincent steps aside. At the back of the line, the very last position. Thomas steps forward. Clean flannel shirt, jeans that fit, hair trimmed neat. Still thin, still a little shaky, but standing, walking. Amara sees him. Her eyes go wide. She doesn't say Mr. Hayes, doesn't say Sir. She says the only name that matters. That's the man from the bench. And she runs. Down the porch steps, past the officers, past Vincent, straight to Thomas. Thomas drops to his knees, catches her in a hug. He's shaking. She's shaking. He whispers into her hair, voice broken. You saved my life with a sandwich and an apple, kid. Amara buries her face in his shoulder, doesn't say anything, just holds on. 32 officers stand at attention. Some of them are blinking hard. A few aren't even trying to hide it. Sergeant Cole turns his head slightly, wipes his eye with the back of his white glove. Ruby stands on the porch, hand over her mouth, watching her granddaughter hold a man she saved with the only thing she had. Vincent watches too, and for the first time in a very long time, he doesn't have a plan, doesn't have a strategy, doesn't have an angle. He just has this. After a long moment, Sarah steps forward, clears her throat softly. Amara Johnson. On behalf of the Pinewood Metropolitan Police Department, it is my honor to present you with the Civilian Commendation Medal for an extraordinary act of kindness that represents the highest values of our community. She opens a small velvet box. Inside, a medal, gold, engraved with the city's seal. You are the youngest person in Pinewood's history to receive this honor. Amara takes it with both hands, stares at it like it's from another planet. Looks up at Ruby. Grandma, look at this. Ruby nods, still can't speak, just nods and cries. But Vincent isn't finished. He reaches into his coat again, pulls out an envelope, hands it to Ruby. Mrs. Johnson, this is from the Pinewood Police Community Fund. Your back rent, 8 weeks, has been taken care of. There's also a $200 grocery card inside. Ruby opens the envelope with trembling hands, reads the letter inside. Reads it twice. Looks up at Vincent, opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. Nothing comes out. Vincent just nods. Your granddaughter earned every bit of this, every single bit. Then a pickup truck pulls up at the curb. Sarah organized it last night. Officers' families donated, worked through the night. Boxes start coming up the walkway. Groceries, school supplies, a new backpack, a winter coat, boxes of canned food, fresh vegetables, bread, milk, eggs. 2 officers carry the first box up the porch steps, then another, then another. Neighbors are on their porches now, watching. A woman across the street starts clapping, slow at first, then her husband joins, then the man next door, then the teenager 2 houses down, then the whole block. Applause rolls down Oakdale Street like a wave, growing louder. Amara stands in the middle of it all, medal in one hand, Thomas's hand in the other. She doesn't fully understand what's happening. She's 9. But she knows one thing. She's not hungry today. Man, if that doesn't hit you, I don't know what will. A 9-year-old gave away everything she had, and 32 police officers showed up to say thank you. Real talk, that's not just a story, that's a reminder. By noon, the story is everywhere. Marcus Reed, a local independent journalist Sarah invited to cover the ceremony, posts the security camera footage alongside his own video of the 32 officers lined up on Oakdale Street. He titles it, "9-Year-Old Gives Homeless Veteran Her Last Meal. What happens next will restore your faith in humanity." Within an hour, it has 6,000 views. By 3 p.m., 85,000. By dinner time, over 340,000. And it's not slowing down. The comments pour in, thousands of them, most of them beautiful. I'm a grown man sitting in my car, crying over an egg sandwich. This child has more humanity in her little finger than most of us have in our whole bodies. Amara Johnson. Remember that name. People start sharing their own stories. A woman in Ohio talks about a stranger who paid her grocery bill when her card got declined. A man in Texas describes a homeless vet who gave him directions when he was lost and wouldn't take money for it. Small kindnesses, the kind nobody films, the kind nobody claps for. Amara's story cracks something open. A crowdfunding page appears, not set up by Vincent, not by the police department, but by a stranger in North Carolina who saw the video and couldn't stop thinking about it. Title: Support Amara and Ruby. Because kindness deserves protection. $3,200 in the first hour, then $7,800, then $12,400. Ruby doesn't know about any of this. She's in the kitchen putting groceries away, opening boxes, stacking cans in the cabinet. She keeps stopping to touch them, like she's making sure they're real. Amara is at the kitchen table doing homework, medal sitting next to her pencil case. Every few minutes, she looks at it, touches the edge, goes back to her worksheet. It's quiet. It's peaceful. It doesn't last. Because with attention comes noise, and not all of it is kind. By evening, the other comments start showing up, the ones that feel like a punch. Convenient timing. Total cop PR stunt. Why does everything have to be about race? So a black kid gives a white man a sandwich, and suddenly she's a hero? Please. This is poverty exploitation. They're using this child. Where are the parents? This is neglect. Ruby finds them. She's not on social media much, but a neighbor texts her a link. Girl, you need to see what people are saying. She shouldn't have looked. She reads one comment, then another, then another. Each one a small knife. Not because they're true, but because they take the purest thing her granddaughter ever did and twist it into something ugly. She turns off her phone, sets it face down on the table, sits there in the kitchen at the same table where she hid the rent notice under the fruit bowl. But the air feels different now, heavier. That evening, something else happens. Councilman Derek Foster gets a call from a local TV station. They want to comment on the Amara Johnson story. Foster is 55 years old, slicked back hair, expensive suit, member of the city council for 9 years, owns a property management company that controls over 200 rental units in Pinewood. He agrees to the interview, goes on the 6 o'clock news. The anchor asks him what he thinks about the story. Foster smiles, the kind of smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Look, it's a touching story, really. But we need to be careful here. Poverty is often the result of poor personal choices, lack of responsibility. We can't reward dependency. People like Mrs. Johnson need to learn self-sufficiency, not wait for handouts. The anchor blinks. Sir, the grandmother works. Part-time, but she works. Foster waves his hand. Part-time is a choice. There are full-time jobs available. You just have to want them. He leans forward. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm being realistic. If we keep enabling people who don't take responsibility, we create a culture of dependency. The interview ends. Ruby watches it on her neighbor's phone. The neighbor brought it over to show her. Ruby's face goes pale. She hands the phone back. Doesn't say anything. Just walks inside. Closes the door. Sits at the kitchen table in the dark. The next morning, Ruby calls Vincent. She got his number from Sarah, who gave it to her in case she needed anything. The phone rings twice. Commissioner Hayes. Mr. Hayes, this is Ruby Johnson. Mrs. Johnson, how are you? Ruby takes a breath. I'm grateful, sir, for everything you've done. I truly am. But I need to tell you something. Vincent listens, doesn't interrupt. I don't want my granddaughter turned into a spectacle, a headline. She's 9 years old. She gave a man some food because she's got a good heart. That's it. She didn't do it for medals, didn't do it for cameras. And I don't want her growing up thinking kindness only counts when somebody's filming. Silence on the line. Ruby continues, voice steady now. You said something yesterday, Mr. Hayes. You said real kindness doesn't need an audience. That's exactly what Amara did. But right now, with all this attention, it feels like we're putting an audience on it. And I don't like how that feels. Vincent is quiet for a long time. Then his voice comes back, softer than before. You're right, Mrs. Johnson, and I apologize. He means it, because Ruby just held up a mirror, his own words. Real kindness doesn't need an audience. And he'd turned Amara's act into the biggest audience in Pinewood. That afternoon, Vincent makes calls, declines every interview request, shuts down media access, issues a statement through Sarah. The Johnson family has requested privacy. We will honor that completely. No further comment. Sarah contacts the crowdfunding platform, asks them to disable comments. The money keeps coming in, but the noise stops. That evening, Thomas calls Amara from the hospital phone. Ruby hands her the phone. Hello? Hey, kid, it's Thomas. From the bench. Amara's face lights up. Hi, Thomas. You doing okay? I'm okay. Are you eating? Thomas laughs. First real laugh in years. Yeah, 3 meals a day. They won't let me skip. Good. Pause. Thomas? Yeah? I don't like being on the computer. People say mean stuff. Thomas looks out the hospital window. Yeah, I don't like that either, kid. But you know what? Those people don't matter. What you did matters. And we know the truth. Okay? Can things just be normal again? Thomas smiles. Yeah, they're gonna be better than normal. I promise. 2 weeks later, Thomas is still at the VA Medical Center, but he's different now, eating 3 meals a day, sleeping through most nights, walking the hallways every morning, talking to the counselors, not because anyone's forcing him, because he wants to. He started working in the hospital's wood shop, occupational therapy. Something to do with his hands. The instructor showed him how to carve birds. Simple shapes, smooth edges. Thomas turns out to be good at it. Really good. There's something in the repetition, the slow scraping of the blade against wood, the grain revealing itself. That quiets the noise in his head better than anything else has in years. He's working on a small bird right now, a sparrow. Fits in the palm of his hand. He's been sanding it for 3 days, getting it perfect. A nurse walks by, sees him working. "Who's that for?" Thomas holds it up to the light, turns it slowly. "For the girl who sat with me." Meanwhile, Vincent is doing something he's never done before. He's asking for permission. He sits across from Thomas in the hospital courtyard, 2 brothers on a bench. Different bench, different world. Same silence between them. "I talked to the VA director," Vincent says. "There's a full rehabilitation program, housing support, job training, long-term counseling. Not the 30-day kind, the real kind." Thomas stares at the trees across the lawn, doesn't respond right away. Vincent adds quickly, like he's catching himself. "I'm not telling you to do it. I'm asking what you think. It's your choice." Thomas doesn't look at him. 2 years ago, you showed up with papers and a car. Told me I was going, whether I liked it or not. You remember what I said? Vincent nods. You said you're not some case I get to manage. I meant it. Pause. A long one. Thomas turns to look at his brother now. So, what's different now? Vincent looks at his hands, opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again, chooses his words carefully. I watched that video from the bus stop, and I saw that little girl just sit down next to you. She didn't give a speech, didn't have a plan, didn't try to fix anything. She just sat beside you and shared what she had. He swallows. And I realized that's all you ever needed. You didn't need me to manage you. You needed me to just be there. The way she was. Thomas watches his brother's face, searching for the angle, the calculation, the Vincent he knows, the one who always has the next 3 moves planned out. He doesn't find it. You really mean that? I mean it. Thomas looks back at the trees. A bird lands on the fence, hops along the railing. Okay, Thomas says, but I decide. Every step, I decide. Vincent nods. You decide. And if I want to stop, I stop. No guilt trips, no pressure. No guilt, no pressure. Thomas exhales long and slow, like he's been holding his breath for 2 years. Okay, that's it. No handshake, no hug, just okay. But Vincent's eyes are red when he stands up, and Thomas pretends not to notice, the way brothers do. Now, Ruby. Something unexpected arrives in the mail. A letter from the Pinewood Community Justice Center. The return address makes Ruby nervous. She's learned to be afraid of official envelopes, but she opens it. The letter explains that Lieutenant Sarah Ortiz referred her case to the center. A pro bono attorney named Claire Dawson has reviewed Ruby's rental agreement. And what they found changes everything. Her landlord, or rather the property management company owned by Councilman Derek Foster, has been overcharging her for years. Illegal fees buried in the fine print. Maintenance charges for repairs that were never made. a late penalty that exceeds the legal limit by 300%. The letter lays it out in plain language. Ruby reads each line twice. The attorney is offering to represent Ruby at no cost. She's already filed a formal complaint with the City Housing Authority. She's requesting a full renegotiation of the lease. Ruby sits at the kitchen table. Same chair she sat in that night in the dark. Same table where she hid the eviction notice under the fruit bowl. She reads the letter one more time. Then she picks up the phone, calls the number at the bottom. Community Justice Center, this is Claire speaking. Miss Dawson? This is Ruby Johnson. I got your letter. Mrs. Johnson, thank you for calling. I want you to know you have a very strong case. Your landlord has been in violation of state housing law for at least 3 years. We can get your rent reduced by 35%, have the eviction notice thrown out entirely, and potentially get you a refund for illegal fees. Ruby is quiet. Mrs. Johnson, are you there? I'm here. Ruby presses her hand flat against the table, steadying herself. Nobody ever told me I had rights. Claire's voice softens. You do, Mrs. Johnson, and we're going to make sure they're respected. 2 days later, it's official. The eviction is canceled. The rent is renegotiated. Ruby's monthly payment drops by 35%. No more illegal maintenance fees. No more threats. No more begging Mr. Brennan for 1 more week. And here's what matters. This isn't Vincent pulling strings. He didn't call a judge, didn't send an officer, didn't use his badge. This is the system working the way it's supposed to. When someone cares enough to connect the dots. Sarah saw a family in need. She made 1 phone call. That phone call reached Claire. Claire did her job. The law did its job. That's not power, that's people. But it doesn't end there. The investigation into Claire's findings goes deeper. Turns out Derek Foster's property management company has been doing this to dozens of families. Overcharging, illegal fees, threatening eviction to keep people quiet and scared. The Housing Authority opens a formal investigation. They find 47 families. 47. All getting squeezed the same way Ruby was. Foster goes on TV again, denies everything, calls it a political witch hunt. But the records are clear. The math doesn't lie. And the investigation continues. Ruby watches the news coverage with her neighbor, sees Foster sweating under the studio lights, sees him stumble over his words. She doesn't smile, doesn't celebrate, just turns off the TV, looks at her neighbor. Some people get what's coming. That's all she says. 1 month later, a Saturday afternoon in October. Warm sun coming through the kitchen window in long golden stripes. Ruby is at the stove, stirring a pot of soup. The good kind, with real chicken, real vegetables, real broth simmering slow. Not the kind from a can, the kind that fills the whole house with a smell that says, somebody loves you. A knock at the door. Gentle this time. Not 32 officers. Just 1 man. Amara runs to open it. Thomas stands on the porch. Clean flannel shirt. Jeans that fit. Hair trimmed neat. He's still thin. That won't change overnight. But his eyes are different. Steady. Clear. Present. He's holding something behind his back. Hey, kid. Thomas. Amara grabs his hand, pulls him inside. Grandma's making soup, the real kind, with actual chicken. Thomas laughs. I know. I could smell it from the sidewalk. Ruby comes out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel, sees Thomas, smiles. You look good, Thomas. I feel good, Mrs. Johnson. First time I've been able to say that and mean it. He reaches behind his back, pulls out a small wooden bird, smooth, perfect, every detail carved with care. He kneels down to Amara's level. I made this for you in the wood shop at the hospital. It's a sparrow. They're small, but they're tough, kinda like you. Amara takes it with both hands, holds it like it's made of glass, stares at it like she's never seen anything so beautiful. You made this? For me? Thomas nods, eyes a little wet. For the person who sat with me when nobody else would. Dinner. The table is small, 3 chairs, but right now it feels like the biggest table in the world. Soup, bread, real bread with butter. Thomas picks up his spoon. His hand shakes a little. Amara notices, doesn't say anything, just slides the bread basket closer so he can reach it easier. Ruby says, "Let's say grace." They bow their heads. Ruby thanks God for the food, for the roof over their heads, for the people at this table, for second chances. Thomas keeps his head bowed long after she's finished. First time he's sat at a table with a family for a meal in over 2 years. After dinner, Amara asks Thomas about the military. He tells her a funny story about a drill sergeant who was terrified of spiders, found one in his bunk and screamed like a little kid. Amara laughs so hard she snorts. Ruby laughs at Amara laughing. Thomas laughs at both of them. The kitchen is small. The table is small. The house is small. But right now, nothing about this feels small. Later that evening, after Thomas has gone, Amara and Ruby sit on the front porch. The sun is setting. Fireflies are just starting to blink in the yard. Amara holds the wooden sparrow in her lap. Ruby puts her arm around her granddaughter, pulls her close. You know why I'm proud of you, baby? Amara thinks. Because I helped Thomas? Ruby shakes her head gently. Because you helped him when nobody was looking. Amara leans her head against her grandmother's shoulder, closes her eyes. The fireflies float. The porch creaks under their weight. The sky turns purple, then dark blue. Quiet. 6 months later, Thomas lives in a small apartment near the VA Medical Center. Nothing fancy, clean, quiet. His. On the windowsill, 3 wooden birds he carved himself. A sparrow, a robin, a wren. He volunteers at a veteran support center on weekends, teaches other guys how to work with their hands, wood carving, simple repairs, gives them something to focus on when the noise gets too loud. He tells them the same thing every time. You're not broken, you're just stuck. There's a difference, and you can get unstuck. Every Sunday, he drives to Oakdale Street. Dinner with Ruby and Amara. Their table has 3 chairs now. Permanent. Amara's school starts a new program. They call it the Kindness Bench, a wooden bench outside the front entrance of Eastbrook Elementary. Any kid who needs someone to talk to can sit there, and someone will come, every time. The plaque on the side reads, "Inspired by Amara Johnson," because sitting down with someone matters. Ruby finally gets her dishwasher. The day it's installed, Amara opens the notebook she keeps under her pillow. The one with the list. Things I'll buy Grandma when I grow up. She finds number 1. A house with a dishwasher. She crosses it off with a big red marker, grins so wide her cheeks hurt. Vincent attends an addiction awareness fundraiser at the community center. He doesn't give a speech, just sits in the back row, listens, learns. After the event, he sends an anonymous donation to Eastbrook Elementary. $5,000 for their after-school program. No note, no name, no audience. Pastor Jerome Wallace stands at the pulpit one Sunday morning, tells the congregation about a little girl who gave away her lunch. Doesn't say her name, just tells the story. Says sometimes the people with the least give the most, because they understand what it means to have nothing. The church is silent. Then someone says, "Amen." Then another. Then the whole room. After the service, the church organizes a monthly food drive, not just for Thanksgiving, every month. Boxes of groceries for families who need them. No questions asked, no forms to fill out, just help. Ruby volunteers, packs boxes every 3rd Saturday. Amara helps. They work side by side, mother and granddaughter, packing food for people they'll never meet. And one Saturday, a woman comes to pick up a box. She's thin, tired, has 2 kids with her. Ruby hands her the box. The woman's hands shake when she takes it. She looks Ruby in the eye. "Thank you." Ruby nods. "You're welcome. We all need help sometimes." The woman leaves. Ruby watches her go. Thinks about the envelope Vincent gave her, the rent that got paid, the groceries that showed up, the lawyer who called. She thinks about Amara giving away her sandwich. And she understands something she didn't before. Help isn't charity. It's a circle. You give when you can. You receive when you need to. And the circle keeps moving. So why am I telling you this story? Because think about it for a second. A 9-year-old with almost nothing gave away everything. And it didn't just change one man's life. It changed a whole community. Thomas got help. Ruby got justice. Foster got investigated. A school got a kindness bench. A church started a food drive. 47 families got their rent reduced. All because one kid didn't walk past someone who was hurting. She sat down. She shared. And that mattered. Here's what I want you to take from this. Real kindness doesn't need cameras, doesn't need applause, doesn't need recognition. It just needs to happen. When nobody's watching. When it costs you something. When it's just you and another person, and a choice. That's when it counts the most. Amara didn't give Thomas that sandwich thinking 32 cops would show up. She did it because he looked hungry, and she had food. That's it. And that simple act, it saved a life, changed a system, reminded a whole city what matters. So if this story hit you at all, if it made you feel something, do me a favor, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that subscribe button, because stories like this, they need to be told, and more importantly, they need to be lived. Be the person who sits down, be the person who shares, be the person who sees someone when everyone else is looking away. You don't need a badge, don't need money, don't need power. You just need to care. That's enough. That's always been enough.